There was this show on a few years back on the WB called Birds of Prey, a loose adaptation of DC's estrogen-pumped superhero comic. It was on for only one season from 2002 to early '03. Now, I'm not about to say that it was a really cool show that never got a fair shake by the network, because it wasn't. It was an ill-conceived attempt to capitalize on the success of Smallville by doing some kind of show that was like Batman but not really, and with chicks. Keep in mind, this was before the big Christopher Nolan reboot, so they were still working with elements from the 90s era films and animated series. I think they reused some of the movie's costumes, but I'm not sure. The gist of the show is this. A long time back, Batman knocked up Catwoman, and she gave birth to baby Helena. And because this Catwoman had Kung Fu cat powers, Helena's got him too. Now Helena's grown and Batman has exiled himself from Gotham, presumably because the love of his life was murdered. Helena now continues the costume crime-fighting tradition as the Huntress, alongside Barbara Gordon, formerly Batgirl, now in a wheelchair and going by Oracle, in the inexplicably named New Gotham. In the pilot, they've taken a teenage girl with psychic powers named Dinah, who turns out to be the daughter of former superhero Black Canary. Over the course of 13 episodes, they battle the machinations of a mysterious crime boss who is revealed to be the Joker's protege Harley Quinn. Sounds like it could be a cool show, right? It was not. Don't get me wrong, it had its moments. But it was mired in a lot of bad writing, poor characterization, uninspired themes, lousy special effects, the usual stuff. I don't want to get into all the problems since there are so many, so I'm only going to focus on a couple. One thing the show really sucked at was world building. The Batman mythos was essential to the series' Bible. Alfred the Butler was a regular, for example. But it was defined in such a vague way that left too many dangling questions for fans and non-fans alike. What happened to old Gotham? Where's Commissioner Gordon? Barbara's dad? If this is some kind of post-Batman world, what happened to all of the other rogues like Riddler and Two-Face? What happened to Bruce Wayne's company? Does Green Arrow exist in this world? For that matter, does Superman? The whole idea of legacy was a major recurring theme on the show. The writers really piled it on even when they didn't need to. In one episode, Barbara name drops all the previous Robins for no good reason. It actually handicapped the story in a weird way. All this talk about the past, of the cooler heroes and villains of yesteryear, make us wonder if we'd rather be watching that show instead of this one. However, two major things have occurred to me well after the fact, elements of the show that seem kind of perplexing. The first concerns the character of Huntress. For reasons I can sort of understand, but nonetheless dismiss as foolhardy, the Huntress of the show refused to wear a mask. I guess the creators of the show were just uncomfortable with the idea of masks for some reason, or they weren't sure how to make it work, which is stupid considering what the show is about. And it's a shame because the retired Batgirl costume that they used for flashbacks actually looked fantastic. As I said, the show utilized a version of Silver Age Huntress, who was the daughter of Batman and Catwoman, not the modern one who bears completely different dysfunctional parentage. Even as portrayed in the show, Huntress really needed to wear a mask. Not just for the obvious reasons, like she wears one in the comics, and it protects your secret identity, but also because it would have been a fascinating piece of character psychology. Her parents are not so much Bruce Wayne and Selina Kyle, but Batman and Catwoman, and you could say that they fell in love with their masks on. So with Helena, the mask is something that should be deeply rooted to her psyche for a variety of reasons. It could be a great way of connecting to the parents she never knew all that well, and to get across how life with the mask is more real and more fulfilling to her than the normal, boring one. I guess they sort of tried to do that with the whole vigilante lifestyle, but the mask would be the perfect outward expression of it. Instead, they gave her a lame excuse about how she's running around maskless to rebel against her parents, because that totally makes sense and isn't stupid or anything. The other more significant realization concerns the bizarre arrangement of the cast. See, in the comics, the team known as the Birds of Prey was formed by Barbara Gordon, the aforementioned paralyzed Batgirl, who changed her skill set to computer hacking and became Oracle. The team has seen a rotating cast of superheroines including Catwoman, Black Canary, Power Girl, Zatanna, and even Hawk Girl. But for the most part, the core three of the group has become Oracle, Black Canary, and Huntress. Now again, I don't know what kind of show they were trying to make, but I can say for this show, Huntress and Black Canary should have switched roles. The more I think about it, the more I wonder why they didn't just do that, even with all the creative liberties. On the show, Helena's outfits are similar to Dinah's in the comics, and the actress is normally a blonde anyway. But really, it should have been Oracle and Black Canary as the veterans, who come across a tough teen who turns out to be Batman's lost daughter. They fill the kid in on her parentage, and she eventually decides to carry on the costume crime-fighting legacy. It seems so obvious now. Were there rights issues? Did they make a mistake in pre-production? Did the producers just want another generic girls-kicking-ass show that had something to do with Batman? Still, why this? Instead of throwing out Huntress's mask and giving her weird kung fu cat powers, just swap that character for Black Canary, who already has superpowers and doesn't wear a mask. And a teenage Helena is more interesting anyway, especially since it doesn't imply that Batman is close to 50. In fact, that was the roster that started in the comics. Chuck Dixon began with just Babs and Dinah, and later Gail Simone took over and added Huntress to the mix. No, the other one. The modern age Huntress, who isn't Batman's daughter. Very complicated. It's a great dynamic. You'd have the retired hero with Oracle, the current hero with Black Canary, and the rookie hero with Huntress. For example, I can easily imagine a scene for the pilot where young Helena snoops around the HQ in the middle of the night and finds Barbara's old Batgirl suit in a display case. She tries on the cape and cowl and does some posing and fight moves in front of the mirror until Barbara catches her. Helena would get all embarrassed and they would bond and reminisce, and or Babs would tell her not to touch her stuff. The next several episodes they train her up, a lot like Batman did with Robin, and eventually she joins the fight alongside Dinah with her own cool costume. It would have been a much better way to mix characters and story elements from different eras into a cohesive whole, and for the show to stand apart from the comics while still utilizing plenty of cool elements from the source. Damn. Now I wish they'd made that show. What have I done?